How to use lookup function in Excel. Excel has two lookup functions. First one is Vlookup, second one is Xlookup. Vlookup is the original formula. It's a little more complicated to use, but can be turbocharged. Xlookup was released, I believe, in Excel 2019. It's a lot easier to use, but it's not capable of being turbocharged. Today, first thing I'm going to do is show you how to use Vlookup. Second, show you how to use Xlookup. Once that's done, I will show you how to turbocharge Vlookup and how to better use Xlookup. Once that's done, I'm going to give you my recommendation, which one you should use when. Now, let's go and see how Vlookup works. Vlookup function has four arguments, four parts, which means that you need to answer four questions before this formula can work. The first question is lookup value, the unique ID. This is what to look for. Table array, which is the second argument, is where to look for the unique ID. So where is your data? Where in the data you will find that information. The third argument is the row index num. What information to bring back? And the last one is, do you want an exact match or a close one? I always recommend to use the exact match. Let's go ahead and use the formula in Excel. Here I have the data of average monthly temperature for January, April, July, October for a bunch of US cities. Right now, I'm interested in Anchorage, Alaska for the month of October. I already have the formula here, but let me go ahead and delete it. And in order to start the formula, you need to type in equal. Equal means that a formula is coming. Then you type in the formula, open parenthesis. Now we need to put in the first argument, the lookup value, your unique ID. There's two ways to do it. You could go ahead and type it here. The way you do that, you just start with a quotation mark, type in what you're looking for, and end it with a quotation mark. This is a little more time consuming to do. One, two, or so. At all times, you do not know what you're looking for. You have to memorize what you're looking for. And if you don't want to change it, you have to go to the formula and change the formula, which is more time consuming. So usually what I do, I go ahead and type in what I'm looking for in a cell like this over here, which is visible at all times. So I know at all times what I'm looking for. And if I need to change it, it's easier to change it. So let me just erase this part. So the way you do, you just left click on that cell. So now the formula knows what to look for. Now we need to go to the second argument. And in order to do that, you put a comma sign. In the second argument, you need to highlight the unique ID and also what information will be brought back. So in this case, we're going to highlight from column A to column E. Remember, the unique ID has to always be the first column that you select. And you always have to go from left to right. You cannot go from right to left. So the data that you bring back has to be always to the right of the unique ID. And again, remember, you have to highlight everything to the point of what information you want to bring back. You could go more than that. You technically could go ahead and highlight it this way. But usually that's too much. You don't need to do that. You just go to column E. Now we need to go to the third argument. We just put in comma. Now we need to the column index number. So in VLOOKUP, you need to tell it which column to bring back. And the way it starts, the first column is always where the unique ID is. So in this case, it would be column A. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. We need to bring column 5 back. So we just put in 5. Now we need to go to the fourth argument. So comma. Here you want to say if you want the exact or something close to it. I always recommend use exact. So just type in false and then close parenthesis, click enter. Voila, you have that information. Now, in case you want to go and bring April instead of October, so what you need to do, you need to change the column index number. So April is in row 1, 2, 3. So I change the 5 here to 3. Now we have the temperature for April. And in case you want to change what city you want, let's say you want to look at Atlanta, Georgia, you type in Atlanta, comma, Georgia. So that's why I always put the unique ID in a cell like this, because if you want to change it, makes your life a lot easier. But remember, you need to make sure you type in the exactly the same way as it's in your data. So for example, if I take the period at the end here, I get an error because it's not exactly the same as it's in my data. So let me put back the period. Okay, this is how to use VLOOKUP. Now let's go see how XLOOKUP works. Right away, you can see that XLOOKUP is a little easier. It only has 3 arguments. And the first argument, same as VLOOKUP, is a lookup value, the unique ID. The second argument is where to look for the unique ID. And the last argument is a return array, what information to bring back. Okay, let's go ahead and use XLOOKUP in Excel. I'm using the same data, the average monthly temperature for a bunch of US cities. I'm still interested in Anchorage, Alaska for the month of October. So let me first go ahead and delete the formula. And let's start with the equal sign again. Type in XLOOKUP, open parenthesis. Click here for the lookup value. Now let's go to the second argument. Here, the lookup array, we need to highlight which column has the unique ID. So in this case, I'm going to highlight column A. As you can see, I only need to highlight the column where the unique ID is, nothing else. Then comma, let's go to the third argument. Okay, what column, what information to bring back? Now in this case, I'm going to highlight column E because I'm looking for October. Again, I'm only highlighting the column that I need to bring back. Then let's close the parenthesis. Voila. The average temperature for Anchorage, Alaska in the month of October. Now let's assume I change my mind. I want to see what information to bring in January. So I go here, go to the third argument, and instead of having E, I highlight it to column B. Now I have the temperature for January. The other good thing about XLOOKUP is that the information that you want to bring back does not need to be to the right of your unique ID. So for example, in this case, let me go ahead and copy this, the unique ID, put it in column F. So let's assume instead of being it here, it was at the end of your data. So the formula would be the same. Let me delete this. Okay, equal XLOOKUP. So instead of highlighting column A, I just highlight column F, comma, oh, sorry, I forgot. First, we need to do the lookup value, comma, and then highlight column F, comma, and I want October, so I highlight column E. As you can see, E is to the left of your unique ID, and it still works. So that's the good thing about XLOOKUP. The unique ID does not need to be at the beginning of your data. It could be anywhere. Now that we have seen how to use VLOOKUP and how to use XLOOKUP, let's see how to turbocharge VLOOKUP by combining it with a match formula. And for XLOOKUP, let's see how we can bring more than one column at a time. In order to turbocharge VLOOKUP, what we are going to do, we are going to replace the third argument, the row index number, where we put the number of the column that we want back. We are going to take that out and instead use match formula in order for the formula to automatically find that for you. And the match formula has 3 arguments. The first argument is the unique ID, what information to look for. The second is the lookup array. It's where to find that unique ID in your data. And the last one, do you want an exact match or something close to it? Now let's go back to our data, the average monthly temperature for a bunch of US cities. And let's use the turbocharge VLOOKUP. Now, in this case, I have two lookup value. One is what city. In this case, again, we're looking for Anchorage, Alaska, but I'm also what month I'm looking for. I'm going to just say I'm looking for April. Let me first delete the formula and let's start again. As always, we start with the equal signs, type in the formula, open parentheses, the first lookup value, what city I want the information for. So I click here, Anchorage, Alaska. Let's go to the next argument. Where is that information? So I'm going to highlight from column A to column E. Remember, you want to highlight the whole data and it has to be from left to right. Now, the third argument, instead of typing in the column number, what I'm going to do is type in match, open parenthesis. So what I'm looking for is for April. So again, I'm linking it to here, comma, where that information is. So now in this case, what you're going to do, you're not going to highlight the whole column. You're going to highlight the row that that information is located, the title row. So I'm going from A3 all the way to E3, comma, and again, I want the exact, so I'm going to type in false, close parenthesis, because this is the end of the match formula. Then now I need to go to the fourth argument for the VLOOKUP. So again, I put a comma, now we're in the fourth, and again, I type in false here, and then close to end the formula. Click enter. Now, the great thing about this is if let's say now I change my mind, I want October, I just type in October here and it will give me October. Now, if I want January, I just type in January. Again, for in this case, what you need to do, you always need to make sure you're using the exact name, same as the city. Now see how we can bring more than one column back with Xlookup. So let's assume I want, instead of just wanting 1 month, I want January, April, July, and October. As you can see, I did not put in the exact way that is in the header. You don't need to worry about that. So let me just go ahead and delete the formula. Let's start fresh. Again, we start with the equal sign, X, lookup, open parenthesis. What is my unique ID? What I'm looking for is Anchorage, Alaska, comma, to go to the next argument, the lookup array where that unique ID is located is in column A, comma, and the last argument, what information to bring back. Now, instead of just highlighting one column, what I'm going to do is highlight 4 columns, column B to E. You could do 4, you could do 3, you could do as much as what information you're looking for. And then close parenthesis, click enter. Voila. I received the data for January, for April, for July, and October. This is how to use Xlookup to bring back more than one column. Now that we know how to turbocharge VLOOKUP and how to bring more than one column at a time with Xlookup, which one should we use? My recommendation is for your ad hoc reports, your regular report that you may have only 1 or 2 occasions that you need to use a lookup function. I would use Xlookup. Xlookup is a lot easier to use, it's a lot simpler and quicker. Now, if your data becomes a little more complicated, so you have a lot of columns, so you're not only bring one column at a time, I would use VLOOKUP turbocharged. And also, if you have a department that's monthly, quarterly, weekly, it's setting a set of data and their formatting is not always the same. The columns move around, so you have no idea, what you're getting. I would use VLOOKUP turbocharge because you can you can look up based on the header. It makes your life a lot easier. So you do not have to go back and rearrange your formula every single time you're getting this set of new data. I hope that was useful to you. If you have any comment, please go ahead and put it in the comment sections. If you have a question, also put it there. I will get back to you. And if there's another formulas that you're really interested to know how to use, put it also in a comment. I will try to, if it's quick, I can put it in the comment, but if it's needed, I will make a new video. And if you enjoy this, please help us out and subscribe. Thank you.